Welcome to StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as J Nitma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It, and this is episode 272, the first one in 2020. Whew, we took a good long bit to get to that one.
Yeah, and I think a good goal might be to reach 300. Seems quite far-fetched at this point, though.
It does. So, did you have a good January? I guess would be the most recent. I think before that we were still trying to do finish that gift along.
Oh,
so yeah,
it's been a while.
It has been a while. My pile got a little big for the finished objects, and so I was like, I'm just gonna give highlights.
Yeah. Yeah, mine is the whole pile, but I only included my January things, so
got it.
there was a few things before January.
Mm-hmm.
Just go with that. But yeah, it was a good January. Things moved along a little faster than I thought, but then I did I didn't pay for anything, but I scheduled a happy hour for my team on Friday that was January was a long year, but we made it through.
Yeah. I've seen that on Instagram. A lot of people posting memes about that. January does kind of feel like a long month with the cold weather, and it was the darkest month on record for our area anyway. Short days, and then when the sun is actually supposed to be out, it's not. So, and then I went on a vacation, so to celebrate my 40th birthday, I went to Costa Rica. It was beautiful there and wonderful there, but it did make re-entry really hard coming back to this. Yeah, it was always sunny there, and it was always warm, but it was fantastic. I had a great, I didn't post as many pictures as I really thought I would, just because, again, was this kind of staying in the moment. I did that with the Sunflower Fibers January thaw as well. It's kind of like, I actually just listened to a podcast about that. It's called The Happiness Lab by Dr. Maria Santos. And she was saying that sharing experiences with people increases our happiness with the experiences, but the second that we go into like a documentary mode of like we take ourselves out of that enjoyment.
I try really hard to be that way with like big events, kind of like January thaw, but like concerts and I was watching some CrossFit competition stuff, and it's just amazing, like at the finish line when somebody's like all exhausted and whatever, how many cameras, like phones, are out trying to take a picture to capture that moment. When if they had their phones down, they might have even gotten a high five from the guy, right? Like, so would you rather have the picture of him lying on the ground or the high five? You know, like you're trading an interaction there. When you bring your phone out. So definitely at concerts, like I really do want to capture the moment so I can have a picture to put on my background on my phone or something. But then I try to like limit that to like one song.
No, it's definitely a balance, right? Because again, you want it. It's really interesting. I highly recommend it's the Happiness Lab. She taught a class at Yale where 2,000 people enrolled about just kind of the science of happiness and how our minds lead us to I'm giving you the spiel, sorry. Our minds lead us to conclusions where it's not true. What would bring us happiness. Often we think things that will make us happy will not make us happy.
Right.
And so that's what she's kind of debunking in the podcast. But our remembering, our recall of the events is much better when we take pictures, because we can look back and we can relive the moments and whatever, but it does in the moment decrease our joy when we go out of enjoyment and into like, ooh, I have to take a picture of this. So one of the people on the episode was the gal who came up with the ice cream museum, which I had never heard of, but I guess it's like the most Instagrammed place where people can swim in sprinkles and I've heard of this. And so they've done a lot of stuff so that people can get to the enjoyment part. So like the most Instagrammable thing is now at the beginning rather than the end. So you can go out of documentary mode and really into the moment mode throughout. Again, very interesting, highly recommend it. But yeah, I did a lot of that. Well, when we went, so in Tamarindo Beach, my goal on my 40th birthday, and my husband made it happen, was to learn to surf, because I was a competitive swimmer, and turns out, paddling, I didn't even get to the paddling part. It was all just focused on getting up on board. And she kind of stood there and then pushed us off and told us when to stand up and whatever. But there was a person on the beach rather than us having our phones out trying to take pictures, that was just snapping photos throughout, right? So that was nice. So I got to enjoy the moment and then later go back, and now I have pictures of Jeremy being an absolute savant at surfing and me being like a...
Yeah, I suppose that's a good...
if you have that option.
Yeah, a good selling point for those camera packages at parks nowadays, right? Like you're gonna go there to enjoy the experience with your family, and there's photographers taking pictures all over the place, and all you have to do is, like, I don't know, get them to scan your band or whatever, and then that picture is captured and put away for you. And then after you get home, you can just look through it, and you just think about that trade-off. It sounds expensive, and you could take the pictures yourself, but yeah, you can be more in it if you're not the...
Yeah, no, so we went to like a eco adventure park where we did some zip lining, and it was the same thing, right? They took pictures of us just throughout because we couldn't have our phones. Like they didn't want us dropping it from the canopy, and so we got to enjoy the moment and then later go back and look at the pictures. So that was fun. Anyway, a total digression.
But I did schedule a trip for spring break, so. Awesome. Got that off my plate. I was all gung-ho about using a travel agent, but I tried to set budgets and whatnot, and I just ended up with a lot more questions, and it ended up being just as much work as me booking it myself. So I was like, oh man, there goes that. Kind of like, okay, I'm gonna hire a cleaning lady, and I'm like, that I can do. And that does help and takes that off my mind. But apparently when it's money related and travel, I don't know.
I guess variable.
Yeah, I really have to be in it, right? And focus on it, because we do have specific guidelines. Like some of the flights that the person chose were way too late or way too early, and
a lot of decision making and price pointing and
So it just did end up being easier to do myself. But it's booked, at least the hotel and plane. The days at where we are, the kids are picking that stuff out, and we haven't heard anything yet. And it's like, well, I guess if we have to buy them the day of, it's not that big of a deal. I've looked at it. It's not like you get a discount. You just go online and order them. And
cool.
The only thing is those fast passes might be scooped up already.
Yeah, depending on what the deadline is for that, right?
Yeah. Some of them are day of, but they sell out supposedly, right? So, anywho.
All right. So anybody that I got to see at January Thaw, it was great to see you. Thanks for all the birthday wishes. I think that kind of covers what I wanted to make sure to let people know.
Yeah, I need to go on some sort of knitting adventure.
It has completely invigorated me. So the number of needle adjacent projects that I now have, like actually have the yarn caked up and are just sitting there going like, knit me, are because we just saw so many wonderful things.
I think I could use one of those.
Yes, I totally invigorated. Now it's just like I just feel this like, I want to knit that. So it's a totally different. A different situation, I guess, than being like, nothing's really tripping my trigger to like, all the things.
Let's get something going here, because it's 2020.
So we need to draw for the December goal along. That is from 2019. That was so last year. 2 through 434. The winners were 143, 341, and 357. 143 was back in March. That was Elizabeth with an X. 341 was Manda B, which is August. She was back in August. And then 357 is MMLT, that's Mary, and that was in September. So it's fun, and I hope everybody felt encouraged and invigorated and motivated, I guess, to meet their goals based off of that KAL. We also had the Finish That KAL, that you were the driving force behind there. Oh shoot! Goodness, I'm out of practice. Yes. So you three don't just get called out on the podcast. You actually get a prize. So I grabbed 2 bags. We have the Pin Protective bag from ZK 2018 that was in the prize drawing, as well as these yard balls. So contact me, Elizabeth, Amanda, and Mary, and let me know your preference. The other prize would be a pattern by myself.
Okay. So for the Finish That KEL, and these are in Megan's handwriting, so I might.
You had 2 from, well, it was sponsored by Shayna Lines.
Yes, so Shayna Lines Designs, and then StockinetteZombies have sponsored. We have a couple little prizes, physical prizes, but if your heart's desire is a pattern from Shayna Lines, just put your preferences when you claim your prize. So yeah, she does the Module Ancho, the Rapazoid, and I saw Hit Me With Your Best Shot, or
reverse shot.
Reverse shot. Sorry, I knew I was close.
Yeah, so they are very
poncho.
They're kind of like my Raptitude was, where there's a lot of styling options.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not just one way that you put that thing on. There's like lots. Like her and Louise at Sun Valley Fibers were parading around in their Rapazoids, which was why I wanted it one. Sometimes it can be worn like a vest, like right side up or upside down. That's relative, right? Or you can put like one of the armholes around your neck and kind of wear it like a long shawl. It was, yeah. I'm like, you too cute.
The suggestion that I would make for a lot of those designs is to get yourself those little jewel leather buttons, or a shawl pin, but the leather buttons, because then you can kind of do them here, you know, wherever. The shawl pins can get kind of snaggy depending on the type. But yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
We do. The winners, because you wanted to know. So we drew 2 from the Ravelry threads and 2 from Instagram. So there's 4 winners. And again, contact me with your preference on, you know, do you want the yarn? This is a lovely 100% fine wool from New Mexico. This would make a super squishy, wonderful, warm hat. And then we have like a bag that seems like it's a good shawl size, a couple balls in there, and a project. And then any pattern of choice is the 3rd option from Shayna Lines Designs. So we got Indigo Dog Montana
from IG,
from Instagram, and these are Instagram handles. So, and then Brittany B 1986. So congratulations, ladies. Thank you for participating. I hope that helped you push through those last few knits and you were able to, I don't know, gift the joy.
Spread the joy.
So then we have,
from Rab, it was number 87, Knitter Chow.
Knitter Chow, okay. I didn't see a K there, so I'm glad she...
Yeah, sorry. There was some drama with my daughter before we started podcasting, let's just put it that way. And so I was a little distracted, yes.
So we had Knitter Chow.
Yep.
Is one of them. And
then Anetta T.
Yep.
Is number 15, right? In the threads, yeah.
Anita T or Anetta?
That's Anetta, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Anetta T.
Yep.
My apologies.
Yep.
So then, yeah, again, for this one, contact me. I have the prizes and then the direct line to Miss Shayna Lines to get you a pattern gift.
Woot woot.
So yes, thanks again. I did really need that push to get my projects done. So, and it did help. A lot of that stuff given away. I got my tigers done, but they're still sitting in the bag from there. I need to mail them to my aunt. we didn't actually get to meet over Christmas break, but I will give you your notebook.
Yes, very exciting.
And finished objects?
Yeah, sure. Otherwise, I was going to mention just briefly again. No, so I am on Instagram via Just Run It going to be hosting a Rapazoid KAL. Quite a few people because of the ZK KAL being a cloak / shawl / cape / something to wear on your shoulders as you're going on your magical adventure. We're looking at knitting the Rapazoid, and so I was like, let's invite everybody to the table via Instagram. So, and I also wanted to mention that it is February, which is February with fiber at the beginning.
Yeah.
Hosted by the incomparable Creative CC, Cecilia, and she puts out the prompts, and I think it's a really great. I've met so many people just yesterday that I went out and looked at the hashtag and saw all kinds of. There's a fellow that runs and just finished one of his races, and I don't know. I just really enjoy looking and meeting, looking at the hashtag and meeting new people. So it's kind of a good mix of learning more about people that I already know, learning about new people, and then sharing a little bit, reaching out.
I was a little late with my selfie. I did it right before bed. Well, the selfie was in there from earlier.
That's the other thing about these challenges, though. Like, I feel like there's quite a few people that do like catch up
makeup. Yeah.
Like, it's not that big a deal. Although it is fun to see that the prompt in that day. If you're looking at the hashtag, it's not a big deal. But yeah, it was one of those things. Another thing tying into the Happiness Project. It's one of those things where you see the things that you've just heard about. Like, you hear about it, a concept, and then you apply. But basically, the Happiness Lab, not project, sorry, she was saying that people think that if they could sit in a bus and not interact with people at all, that the ride would be more pleasurable for them. But in fact, even if you're an introvert, somebody that needs to recharge with quiet and whatever, they rate their happiness with a bus ride better if they just randomly talk to a stranger next to them. Which she said was fairly controversial because there were people reaching out to her after she taught the class and saying, that's scary. Like, there could be a murderer next to me or a psychopath or whatever, right? But
just somebody like you.
Yeah. This is a way to increase your happiness in life without that danger, right? I mean, hopefully some random person posting something on Instagram would have no way of actually finding you if you were like, hey, I like your picture of your knitted sweater, right?
That's true.
Yes. Anyway, finished objects. So I am wearing the soundtrack top. This was a fun knit. It's knit from the bottom up. And obviously you change about the armholes. It is knit with a lot of positive ease in the pattern. And as with my Velocore, I didn't put the positive ease in, but I did add sleeves because that positive ease would have given me sleeves. Gotcha. So it's supposed to be like a vest without sleeves. I cast on and knit sleeves onto it. This is with Cyborg's Craft Room, her Targi base. It's a very bouncy, really nice base. It does still have quite a bit of positive ease, but I'm loving the tees. And I don't know if I had much else that it's a good way to use up if you, at the beginning of your knitting career, thought, hey, I can knit a sweater with this amount, and you really can't in one color. If you combine two, not that this had 600 yards per skein, so I never would have thought that I would be able to knit a whole garment out of it. It's a Mongo skein. I knew I was going to have to combine it with something, but these two colors make me happy. I finished a test knit for Miss Jen Steinglass. This is the Hinterland. I'm really getting over my my avoidance of combining different bases. So this is a Barrett wool, very kind of sheepy, rustic. Their fingering weight Wisconsin spun. And then this is a reclaimed single ply that I had knit one of the Hannah Fettigs. Why can't I think of the name of it? Because my brain isn't firing. And I reclaimed it. I was like, I'm not wearing it. I absolutely love this green and blue. And so the single ply looks really nice, and it kind of, with kind of that flatness of the very sheepy rustic wool, the single ply just kind of like, it glows. And I think of the ones of hers that I have knit, this is my favorite. I really like the rolled neckline. Her other one that I knit had a rolled sleeve, but the rolled neckline is my faves. It fits nice on my shoulders, and it doesn't seem as constricting as like a ribbed one. I don't know if you brought yours, but Spirits of the Season
it's not blocked, but so I can show you the colors.
This was a little challenging for me to block, by the way. Like
Yeah,
I like adjusted it several times. It's kind of a swish.
It's got a snag.
Uh-oh. It's kind of a swish, and then this end, the mohair, when I washed it, it got kind of felty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so watch out for that.
Okay.
But it was really fun. You obviously kind of start off on this end and knit some patterning, and then you eventually get down to the far end.
Yeah.
They have it styled.
So you knit that way.
Yeah. So they have it styled so that you can really see the arrows and points in the thing. So this just ends up being a tail that you hide. Yeah.
Well, and and that's, I can't imagine too many other ways to style it other than scarf.
Yeah.
Where you don't see
I guess
much of it.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could. I mean, again, you've now challenged me mentally. You could have like it in the back, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have like make you look like you have some tail feathers. Shake your tail. But I really enjoyed having something to open every day.
Yep.
I did not feel a lot of pressure. I think it was probably because Ellie was in play practices and stuff. That like, I was like, oh, I'll have that time every night to kind of sit down and try to. And then they did a good job of interspersing non-knitted things within, right? So it wasn't like every single day you had to knit, 100 yards or whatever. I really enjoyed, so there's Spun Right Round in here, there's Fiber Pates, and there is the one that's a little thicker that some people were having trouble with the yardage. I'm forgetting, was that Quigu?
I don't
Painter's
remember.
Palette?
Yeah.
Okay. But it was fun to have somebody else have to choose the colors.
Oh, yeah.
That said,
For
it would be
sure.
a really fun scrappy project.
Yep.
And it started a love of mohair / alpaca silk in my life. Because this was fantastic to work with. Didn't you like it?
I did, yes. And I have some other alpaca silk that I'm working with now too.
So it did the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, I had that before this.
Oh, that you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, it is nice to have somebody else. I think next year I might want something more like challenging, like okay, every day or whatever. But you're right, this was a lot easier to fit in with my other knits that I needed to do and still, be fun. And I was working ahead a little bit because I was worried about finishing.
I did a Megan's Monday musing about this, and it was heavily on my Instagram, but I just wanted to briefly mention, this is the Cup of Kindness cowl. It's got a fun fill line where you are slipping a stitch, and it moves across the work because you are working it on a bias, so there is an increase on one side and a decrease on the other. You can kind of see through the burning stripes of working one end over the other, or one end and then the other end, how it's constructed. But this is a gaugeless pattern, so I fell in love with the Langfeld hat and its gaugelessness, so you can knit it with whatever. So this is like a super bulky, this is a DK, or a worsted, this one is a DK. These are all made out of Joanne fabrics, bought, acrylic / acrylic wool. blends. This one is like a Lion Brand cupcake, and this one was a Ferris wheel Lion Brand. This went all over Costa Rica with me. Lots of memories knitted into that, and you can finish it by seaming it, as I did this one, or you can finish it with buttonholes, like I did this one. And you can button it up, and you can either button it like that, or you can button it into a with the points overlapping. And this one I styled with enamel pens rather than buttons. So I thought that was kind of a fun twist. I got the You Betcha. I've got a Just Run It enamel pin. Oh, one for you. Yep. I had that sitting there. I was like, I don't remember to give that to her. Well, I'll remember when I talk about the pins on my cowl. And yeah, you can just go until it's long enough or until you run out of yarn. This one was just 2 50-gram skeins of fingering with some self-striping that you will see in just a second that I had left over. But yeah, go check out the Cup of Kindness cowl. I really enjoyed knitting them, which is why I have so very many of them. But I wanted to make sure that it worked out and also have an idea of if you had this much yarn, how much, even if it's gaugeless. Even if it's gaugeless, if you did this width and this cast on with this yardage, you would end up with this much. So some guidelines, you can freestyle it. Mandy, Bacon Fairy at Sun Valley Fibers was knitting on one, and I was like, it's pretty. She was combining like a gradient kit with like a solid.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea. I have that.
It's very pretty. It was very pretty. I knit for the ZK Sock Challenge a pair of Partying It Up and Getting Down. I had a Megan's Monday Musing where I was talking about self-striping and showing your stripes. And I pulled out my original ones from the StockinetteZombies birthday kit, and they were very fuzzy and just from lots and lots of wear. Plus, that was easily 7 years ago.
Yeah,
8 years ago.
A while ago.
It was a very long time ago. And so I decided I needed another pair because I've knit it since, but I've only ever done the Partying It Up, the toe up. So this is a toe up and a cuff down. And this is with Fiber Nymphs MCN, so it's, yes, it's very soft, very squishy. And then I am participating again this year in the Down Syndrome International Lots of Socks KAL. So this pattern will be coming out. I can't tell you what day because every day is a surprise of who the designer is. But I knit another pair of these. I've decided that they are going to be the Ready Up. Like the gaming term when you're in a lobby, you have to ready up. And you know me, I love my up motifs, my arrow motifs, my chevron motifs, as well as these 2-color slip stitch mosaics. So yeah, this one is the kind of contrast color in the arrow isn't as visible as the socks that I previously showed on the podcast. Because I think this is Barrett wool, and then Knitterly Things. The Knitterly Things self-striping is a little thinner, so you're not seeing those other slip stitches as much. But yeah, they're just so, the contrast heel and the toe and cuff, and very rustic, but also like, I don't know, it's just like sheepy and wonderful and bouncy.
You'll have to let us know how they wear.
Yes, for sure.
So woolen spun sock.
So look for that in the month of February. It's a coming. And that is all. I probably had more, but I was like at a certain point, I'm like, no, we need to talk for half an hour about finished object.
Well, luckily, so you covered one of mine. I'm gonna move that because in this here.
Yep.
And then
Spirits of the Season.
am doing a lot of knit-alongs and goal-alongs and all sorts of things. So for the month of February, I'm drinking 64 ounces of water a day. That's from my coach. And then Progression, the gym that I go to, they have a monthly challenge. I didn't do so well at the plank challenge for January. There were a couple days there that were so long that I couldn't do them in one session, and then I'd forget to do the second or third session of them, and so I missed But the next one is farmer's carry. And I love farmer's carry, so I could probably do that all day long. And I need to work on my grip strength anyway. I don't know farmer's carry. You just imagine carrying buckets of slop, you know, it's that. You're just carrying 2 weighted objects in your hands while you're walking.
Got it.
So it's easy to do, right? You can pick any 2 weighted objects and it's just meters, right? So walk 100 meters or 200 meters, or it's not a long distance. There might be a few 500 meters on there because they want to challenge you. But I try to pick heavy weights where you have to stop in the middle, you know, so, because they're just so heavy, I put them down. Anyway, and then on top of that, I'm doing stash down, I'm doing RKLs, I'm doing some stuff
February.
February, I'm doing Eat, Sleep, Knits. They do a yarn-a-thon every year, and I have some of their yarn, so I try to work that in and add points to my team.
You go, girl.
Yes. So, in the vein of stash down, I'm going to talk about this. This is the BFF cowl by Tiny Owl Knits and Yosolda.
Ready? Easy for you to say, huh?
Right, exactly. But I only did the Tiny Owl Knits portion and did it twice. So the concept is that your friend has a skein and you have a skein and you knit, and then you swap them and graft them together. Well, my brain wasn't quite working the day I grafted these, and I did not graft them together, but they go together. So they are worn at the same time.
Fun.
And
Grello. Very grello-y.
Yes, and this took 2 skeins out of my, this is wool stock from Blue Sky Alpaca.
There you go. You
There
got
we
there
go.
eventually.
I got there, yeah. And so they're 50-gram skeins, so I have 2.
Got it.
And then
Looks warm.
2 skeins out, and then
Warm and squishy.
yes, very nice. Then another 2 skeins out of my stash. This is Fiber Nymphs in her bounce base, and I bought these quite a while ago, but she's going to be a vendor at our retreat. So I pulled that out for our KL and the stash down, and made this lovely hat. And this is a Pop Fizzle. And I really liked this is my second Pop Fizzle that I've made, but there were many years in between the Pop Fizzles. This time I decided to make it with the, I think the first time I made it with the different weighted yarns together, and now it's, the yellow is held double and the purple is not, it's held single. And that is as written in the pattern. So, let's see.
And that is Go You and I.
Yes.
Go Panthers.
Yep. You and I or Vikings,
Got
it
it.
doesn't matter. But I do like that option.
You
that
are
it's-
yellow.
Yeah, I
That's
am
your
really
theme
yellow.
right now. Yellow.
So far. And then we have also, I finished finally my striped yak socks. And they do have a OMG heel in them. And they are super warm, and I made them into just little tiny.
Where's the yak from again?
The people who stopped making
The bison.
Bijou Basin Ranch. Yeah. So I believe this is their Heavenly Dreams base. That's mostly
Sad. But the socks live on.
Yep, the socks live on, and I do have quite a bit more in my stash, so I can also do more.
But not hoard.
I'm trying not to. Trying not to. Sometimes it gets hard.
It does. That was one of my things with this top as well. It's like, well, but I like keeping it because I love. I think I've since found somebody else that must carry the exact same base because it's the exact same put up.
Oh, okay.
So if I wanted more of it, it wouldn't be dyed as Megan would have dyed it so beautifully, but it would be dyed in somebody else's, aesthetic.
So in January, I finished one more Megan sock here. And then I had a pair of socks that I gave to their recipient. So there was another second sock that I finished. So I'm excited for that. But this is Lola Bean
Bonus points.
Yeah, so Lola Bean and Just Run It, and and it's the January knit along with socks, and yeah, it's gonna be super bonus time.
Mm-hmm.
And I made sure to post about the single sock because you know, as
I
you
had
can
to pat
see-
myself on the back because last year I had things that fit into the KL and I didn't post it in time. So when I finished those socks with Fiber Nymph and my pattern,
You're like,
and I was like,
Get
get those in.
I'm gonna get them in. So then, also, just yesterday, I cast off the sleeve
Ooh, your ground pepper?
on my ground pepper. And I can't, did I finish putting all of these in? I think I did. So it's even ready to wear, except it's got a stitch marker.
Okay. Well, there's that.
Errant stitch marker. Jewelry. Jewelry.
Yeah, do you think anybody would notice if you were to
don't know.
work and you just had stuff hanging on it?
Random locking stitch marker on there. But yeah, love this. I think I should block it first. But
It's a good V-neck.
yeah, it was really fun to work on. I think you know, the transitions are kind of harsh with the, let's see, it's the middle one, the third one.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I had known that, and again in the skein, so hard to tell.
Yeah.
And the first two blended so well, and the bottom two blended so well. It's just that middle one.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had known, I probably would have done a few,
Like
you
a
know,
fade in?
Yeah, fade, where you knit a couple rows alternating before you switch.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's not that noticeable when I'm wearing it, and so I just, you know, you always notice it most in the photography.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe in this bright daylight, you might be able to see it as well.
I see it, but again, it's kind of the feature of the pattern or of the design, right? It's that
Yeah.
There's a gradient. I mean, mine you can really see it.
Oh,
It looks
yeah.
like stripe, stripe, stripe,
Gotcha.
stripe. Yeah.
Okay, so it did a little bit better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. If yours faded a little, that was better than mine. But again, I'm rocking it, right? I'm like, this is purposeful.
Yes.
So yeah.
So I finished that ground pepper, and that is 5 skeins out of my stash.
Woot woot.
I'm not counting.
Not that anybody's counting.
I'm not counting the Lola Bean because I got it in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So it entered and exited, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've already, if I were going to do that, I've already messed up my year, so. Although some of it was bought in, like and I see that you've got your Mitchell's Creations, and I didn't grab that. That was bought in 2019.
And same thing happened to me, and,
Yeah.
and it's not counting to stash
Okay,
down. It's the
okay.
benefits of purchasing in 1 year
Yep.
before you've committed to stash down. Yeah, that was it for my finished objects. Do you want
Okay.
to talk about what you're working on?
Yeah, no, this is just a prototype for a shawl pattern that will be coming out this year, a collaboration. The yarn that I'm working in it is just, you've probably seen it about 20 times over. This is the BU fibers that I knit a chiffon top out of, and I've knit several other things out of it. I bought like a Uber sweater quantity of it when she was on super sale. So that is not the person that I'm collaborating with. It was just a skein that I thought looked wild enough that I could try this out and see what it looked like on super wild,
Yeah.
whatever. So not at liberty to talk about it right now, but it was the only thing that I have on the needles. I'm trying to force myself to work on not force myself, but motivate myself to work on the designs and the concepts that I've got kind of floating around in my head, rather than knitting them and sitting on them and not writing them up. We have a Trello board now for our ZK work. I have a Trello board now for my design work. I'm trying to be more regimented with it. And so I have a lot of needle adjacent projects. I recently bought some alpaca silk and mohair silk from the Wool Warehouse, because I could get like a sweater's quantity from the Wool Warehouse of kid silk hazed, basically for 1/4 of the price that I was seeing other mohair silk. And so I want to knit a love note, I want to knit a swirl, I've got the yarn caked up for a silver lining by Jen Steinglass, which is a DK Colorwork sweater. Yeah, I've just got eons and eons. I'm going to be choosing yarn today and casting on for the Rapazoid. So yeah, I've got lots of plans. I got some design work. I got some plans. I got some, but I'm trying to not get too crazy with the cast-ons because it starts to drive anxiety for me. Like if I can't pick up a project and know exactly where I'm at on it or what I'm supposed to be doing with it, it causes me a lot of internal angst, which is why I've primarily been monogamous. And we've joked about that all along, how I work one project to the end. But I think that is, if I'm honest with myself, that's why. Like, I want my knitting to bring me joy, and it doesn't when I'm like worried about forgetting where I am or what I'm doing on a specific project. So
I joined Gigi for one of her live things on Instagram, and you know, there's like, I don't know, 5 dozen people in those things. So it gets pretty chatty. And she was talking about how she's a monogamous knitter, and she knits on things until they're done, and then she says, I don't know how you guys do it, or you know, what do you know, she was trying to, you know, garner discussion about it, obviously, but genuinely curious. And I had said I have a shameful amount of whips, and it really is, because there were other people like, oh, I've got 4, oh no, I've got, you know, and I'm like, I've got over a dozen, and that's just off the top of my head. I'm sure if I went looking, I would get to 20.
I subscribe to the Knitter's Planner, their email distribution list, and so they send out tips and tricks and whatever based off of, you know, kind of how cool ways that you can use your planner. And they were talking about works in progress and how people just have like, you know, baskets full of them. And I can't remember the person's name, but there is a method with which you can still not be monogamous, but can really drive things to done, which is basically like you have to commit to, when you pick up one of your whips to work on it, that you will work on it for a set number of hours, like 10 hours. And then you can set it aside and pick up another one. And so that really, and then I can't remember, there were some other stipulations, but basically it sounded like forcing yourself into monogamy for a short amount of time so that you can get a significant amount of progress done on any one project, right? Because otherwise it can be very unmotivating to have so many things that you're working on and nothing gets finished, right?
Well, yeah, and
which is kind of what you end up doing, right? You go on like a finish it.
Yeah, terror.
Yep.
So, yeah, and my answer to what motivates you to get back to a project was guilt, right? Like, oh, that's beautiful yarn, and that beautiful sweater just needs me to go from here to here, and I'm done. But something else came up and I didn't feel like going back to it, and yeah, so a lot of guilt involved in getting things done when you're
knitting should bring you joy, not guilt.
I'm telling you, when I set that project down, it was not bringing me joy.
Okay.
So I made the switch for joy.
Okay.
It's making the switch back that gets hard. But anyway, you know, you get to a certain point and then it is joy again. So
did you have any other works in progress that you want to talk about? So you've got your other swing left.
Yeah, not much, because I need to cast on a poncho. And I'm sure there are a bazillion whips, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. So I started a glove for my husband, because his one gloves that I had made him are finally falling apart. And he requested another pair, and I said, are mittens okay? And he didn't like the non-dexterity of it. I'm like, they're warmer though. But the ones that I made him before had a flip, but not a mitten flip. It was just a gartered neck that came up. So like a little foreskin that you could fold down and you could fold up, but left your digits out for whatever reason. And so it did add an extra layer of warmth throughout the mitten glove. But it was a pattern that was designed to work with the
was the foreskin referenced in the pattern, or no? Got it. Okay.
I'm just trying to explain it.
Okay. Well, again, funny things that knitters say, right? Like I remember you being like, it's not called a sphincter close. Right? Like, we just name things after the things that they are very similar to, right?
Yeah. So this was just a basic pattern that was in a book, and I'm using it as a guideline, not knitting exactly what they did. And then just because it's nice to use your books every once in a while. But yep, I'm on the second finger on the first glove, and I'm trying to work on those, you know, here and there. This is only like a day, you know, or, you know.
What's the yarn?
Off and on. This is once again the Prairie Spun from Brown Sheep Co. Nebraska.
Makes good hand accoutrement, huh?
Yeah, I really like
some mittens and yeah.
I really like this yarn. It's actually the leftovers from what I'm wearing.
Well, that's why it looked like it was just one. When you had the glove on, I was like, where does it end? I thought you had like a doubled over. Okay.
I see. No. It's the same yarn as this Weekender, so just happened to have a leftover ball.
I couldn't have been the only one, right? You guys were all out there going like, is that the same yarn?
I knit the whole arm.
Okay, got it.
Okay. No, and that's it. I just brought the two, and I'm contemplating my next pattern, because I was going to, for a knit along in a CrossFitters group on Ravelry, I was going to start a poet. It was really pretty. It's in Lane magazine, but I forget who the designer is. That's why. But poet. It's just poet, and it's just a really pretty lacy, basic pullover, and then we decided on our poncho thing, and so now I'm debating and deciding what to do, because my sweater for the other KL was going to be yarn that fits our thing. It's 3 Irish Girls, but the ponchos, all my poncho sweater stuff isn't yarn that counts, and the patterns aren't patterns that count, because I want them to all be one color.
No bonus.
So there's
no poncho bonus, huh?
Yeah, so it'd be no bonus but poncho. So now I'm kind of like, do I need to rethink this, do something else, so that I can get maximized bonuses? Because I'm sure you're gonna be stash diving for maximum bonuses, and the things we struggle with.
It's rough.
It is. But I did get a lot of Mitchell's Creations yarn over here that I could probably turn into a lovely something.
Yeah, a lovely poncho.
Shawl, maybe, instead.
Yeah. No.
Just forget the poncho idea altogether, even though that's kind of what I want to knit.
Oh, I was going to, it's not necessarily enabling, but Annette sent me this bag, and I just thought it was very cute. Other 40-year-olds, me. So I got to use it for the next 10 years. Unless after I turn 50, I can be like other 40-year-olds and over, like put like a little plus on it or something, older 40 plus. So, and then you had given me, and I handed it out to other unicorns at Sun Valley Fibers, so other people now have a little, your mother-in-law had given you some unicorn little things. People were putting it on their badges, which is fun. And then I have the expedited, because I did talk a little bit about it at in a Megan's Monday Musing. I went in really depth with the Cup of Kindness, so if you're interested in hearing about that pattern, there's a whole probably 10 minutes that you could listen to about that, but I want to be cognizant that there might be people that are listening to that and also watch this. So I don't want to repeat myself, although I do repeat myself. Never videotape yourself. You say a lot. Especially when you're talking just one-on-one to a camera. Like, I feel like this is conversational, so I don't say as much probably.
But when it's just the
camera, I feel like you have to fill the spaces in with something, and so you say a lot. And then what was the other thing that I was going to say? Oh, I repeat myself a lot. Like, I forget that I said something, which I probably do here too, but you watch it back and you're like, I said that twice. I said that 3 times. I mean, or like in a paper where you say the thesis, you do the prongs, and then you say it again at the end, and you're like, I said that in the exact same way. Anyway, all of that you don't care. Went to the Wisconsin Craft Market, which is sadly closing.
And you didn't buy me the whole store? Why did
They weren't like on super sale yet. You'll have to
okay.
hook up Louise when everything goes on super sale. But I did not know that Hedgehog Fiber Arts had a BFL base.
Oh.
So I get there and I'm like, what is this column? Oh, this is beautiful. So kind of a fun chartreusey goblin. And this one is Dragonfly. I grabbed two sweaters. I grabbed a sweater quantity of this one because they had enough of it. A sweater quantity of this one because they had enough of it. And then a couple other that I was like, oh, I could do color work because there was like a pretty green and a pretty blue.
So you're stashed down. You're not stashing down.
No, I didn't do it. I talked myself down. So I had like 9 skeins in my cart. And even at $30 a skein, I'm like, this is like $300 worth of yarn, Megan. Do you need this? Or maybe you should take home the BFL and decide whether or not it's like your heart's desire and then buy a bunch of sweaters, quantities of it. So I just got the 2.
Okay.
I needed it down.
Okay.
Needled it down to the 2. I don't know what I'll make with it. Could make some really pretty socks because I like BFL in socks, or very, I just love how the BFL takes
like
the colors.
So
yeah,
much.
the BFL takes the colors really pretty, but there's that.
Something about that mint in there. It's just
I
so
caked it up for that silver lining. It was cinnamon and then I think it's Ledgewood, kind of a gray to go with the very vibrant, very GG orange.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but it's not here because it's caked up and sitting in a project bag going, knit me, knit me. Shayna gave me some very pretty 6 and 7 fiber. This is a Quarrydale nylon fingering weight in the Elridge colorway, which is just fantastic. Look at that. Yes. So 6 and 7 fiber is local to her, and that just so much happiness and joy in like, oh, she picked it out and it was local to her, and she gave it to me. And then I was gonna say, I didn't cake those up. I've got color work plans for these two. So this is Aquifer, which seems to me like it's Bazinga with some green mixed in. It's very it's very bright. And then this one is Splash 021, which I assume means it's one of their kind of one of a kind, OOAK. But I did the little color thing, and I determined that they would make maybe something for St. Patrick's Day. And then they had these really fun bags this year as part of it. I very last minute got in because my work go live got delayed into February. So got a nice little thing. And then they have like a survival kit, which is so fun. A magnet with a darning needle, a little crochet hook for fixing, a measuring tape, some scissors, and some stitch markers, and soap, and row canter. So you didn't have to bring any of that when you came, just auto-magically had it. And then in December I got this, and I did not get to talk about it on the podcast, but I was part of the Rebel Without a Cause from Lady Dye Fibers. Rami Hill designed a cowl slash, it was for the 19th Amendment, cowl slash hat that you can sphincter clothes into a hat.
I definitely saw a pile of these buttons at Vogue Knitting Live and was like, oh.
Yep. So it was so these are, I think, 3 mini skeins, very Vikings slash UNI-esque, but it was $19.
Oh,
for the 19th.
It was cheap.
Yeah. So got a hat, got a pin, got the yarn to make the hat slash cowl for the club, and she's got year-long clubs. So if you are somebody that is interested in supporting somebody that is promoting diversity and inclusion in the out in the knitting world, definitely go check out Lady Dye.
Man, if I had only realized.
Well, she was promoting it all over, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I caught it towards the end when they like added spots, right? Like they were like, we had 500 spots and there were not, and now
and maybe I was one of those ones that was like, oh yeah, later I'll look, and then it was like, nope, I didn't make it. Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Gotta be on it.
You too.
Well, the last one I looked at for her clubs was a little bit more, and it was probably different, like proposition. It probably wasn't just a hat, right?
Yeah.
It was something more.
More yardage, more yarn, more swag, maybe more whatever. But yeah.
And so I didn't realize.
Yeah, this one I think was fundraising her. She's got, I'm trying to remember the logo, but like she's doing a cross-country venture here in 2020. Ooh. So yeah, I think this one was trying to fund that.
Very nice.
But yes, exciting things. Tell me about the yarn that you have next to you.
So I have a new to me dyer. This is the Kinetic Knitter out of Minneapolis.
Never heard of them.
I think you follow her on Instagram.
Oh, I'm sure.
You just don't know.
I'm not seeing the yarn in real life. So.
Okay.
Maybe, so I haven't heard of them. I've not seen the yarn in real life. How's that?
Okay. So she's just doing small batches now, but this one skein is very representative of her color aesthetics.
Okay.
So, but fairly new. I think she got her website up really late at the end of 2019, and not late, but late towards the end. Yeah, towards
fourth quarter,
the end.
third quarter.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
get into work mode.
Yeah, work mode. It was Q4 when she finally got her shop up. Yes, and she launched her business. So I have this one. It's called On the Road, and this is just a regular 80/20.
Since she'll have a lighter or darker one that could be on the road again.
She could. Just suggest that.
It's beautiful. I love the speckles.
It's really pretty. And then I got Karen, I bought 2 that day and gave the other one to Karen for Christmas, and it was greens and greeny and blue. It was very Karen, without being purple. So love the new to me, local-ish dyeing, so that's awesome. And then as part of Eat, Sleep, Knit, they have these, every year they do a dyer that dyes up their themed yarn.
Yep.
And so they have 2 dyers this year, and Lola Bean is one of them. And since Lola Bean is coming to our retreat, I figured win-win. I get the ESK yarn, and I get
win-win.
Yeah, win-win-win.
Because you get some beautiful yarn.
Yes, obviously. So I got this is of course Bean Sprouts. This is the Chevron Chalet colorway, and then this was Haystack Hideaway. I'm not sure. I think this one is Rumpelstiltskin
inspired.
Yeah. So this is a lovely yellow. And so I have these yellows and blues.
It photographs very well.
I am so excited about them. But yep, those came to me. And then I added a single ply merino lace from Malabrigo in the Bobby Blue because there was a knit along later in the year with Eat, Sleep, Knit that you needed single ply yarn for. So I was like, oh, I'll just add that little guy and then knit something later in the year for them. It's after RKL, so I got some time. And then, last but not least, my giant pile of gorgeousness came from Tara.
I'm shaking my head because it's not giant compared to mine.
Okay, I felt like it was giant. So I got 6 skeins of her DK in the, I forget what this one is. You're Mine. It was a Valentine's themed You're Mine colorway. So there's one more skein in this bag. Can you even see that with the shine?
All the lights
on there? I don't know if you can, so I'm going to take this out. Okay, so this is the You're Mine. Oh, and it's not even, it's turning really red. This is very deep, rich brick red, I would say. Like it's gorgeous.
Well, our yellow walls tend to kind of yellowify.
Yeah, brighten them up. But yeah, I would say this is more like, you know, a deep red brick. You might see. And then she had shawl kits. So this is a shawl kit together, more purple and yellow. And then add a splash of gray there. There's a silver linings. This one is purple veil. Purple veil. Yeah. And then this one is Midas Touch. So those are very nice. And then I could
make a very pretty shawl with that for the K.
Yes. And then I couldn't resist. Here's this kid, the mohair and silk, in this really pretty blush pink. She calls Desert Rose.
That's a good name for that.
And it's very pretty. But that's what I have, and that's a lot.
It is. I didn't bring the full shame out.
So. Oh, okay. How many skeins was it?
I think I got 3 skein sweaters quantities of fingering.
So 9.
And then maybe 4 single skeins.
Oh.
14 or 13?
Yeah, and I had 10. So yeah, I wasn't that far off from the shame. I really wasn't.
Okay. It just felt like a lot. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it was a great price. I hope that
Gorgeous,
she did
yes.
Phenomenally with that sale. So
yeah, I hope it did everything that she thought it would.
Yeah. Yep.
I appreciated it. I took advantage.
We definitely interspersed ZK stuff throughout, specifically with relation to the KAL.
Yep.
But we will go into ZK Talk here. Coming up, there will be a Get Involved email where we'll be talking about shirts, we'll be talking about excursions and 5Ks and volunteering to teach a class. And so it's all on the Trello board. We're driving it to doing done. Yeah, I'm sorry.
When I get on a kick, like a ZK kick, I go out to the Trello board and I make all sorts of comments.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it was inevitable. Let's just say that. Like, that's what we do in our jobs. So to the fact that we didn't do that previously is just hysterical to me. Like,
it's astonishing.
Yeah. Well, I think we used a spreadsheet and we were putting statuses next to it in the spreadsheet. But we're really up in our game this year. So if you're not familiar with Trello, it's basically like a what's it called? The word just left me. You don't have sprints like you do in our jobs. You have, it's just to do, doing, done. Anyway, it left me. I'm having
board. That's all. Like
Kanban
board.
Kanban board. Yes,
okay.
That is what I was talking about.
Okay.
But yeah, it left me. I needed more coffee apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah,
those are good. Again, like, you know, it's, you know, they liken it to sticky notes, right? And so you have your sections and you can move your sticky note to your different sections. And
Yep. Our scholarship winners were contacted.
Yes.
Again, we aren't publicly announcing those, but we're super excited to have those folks attending and to be able to enable them to be able to make it a reality. What else am I missing? Super excited to have Miss Lola Bean attending and speaking.
I'm gonna try to get out there and give us some January totals to give us some motivation to
she has been very busy.
Poncho craziness. I got all the way through dragons and part of the way through unicorns, and then an additional week of like crazy happened. So it's gonna be a moment, but I plan on working on that today. And then I'm just really excited for all the enthusiasm I'm seeing out in the threads. It's really great.
So
lots of new people jumping in and making themselves known in the threads. Like, I'm new, hey, welcome, you know.
Which is exactly, so that was what my Megan's Monday Musing was last week. And again, I'm listening to this Happiness Lab. This is like my 4th plug for it, sorry. I'm really getting on a kick. It's like
download it now.
I am a binge watcher.
Yeah.
Or a binge intaker. Like, I get into something and I really enjoy it and I'm like, more. But that was, you know, get out there, reach out, put yourself out there. It's the worst that can happen is that you don't have much engagement, but at least you tried, right? And so getting involved in expanding your knitting community is so much fun. In fact, I think that that's one of my knitting goals for 2020 is to have more in real life experiences, not just like these first quarter going to January thaw and going to ZK, and it's a very intense whatever, but it's like this one little spotlight of knitting joy or knitting community joy throughout my year. I'd like to try to have that a little bit more often, whether that's you and I going out for coffee on a Sunday like we did a couple of weeks ago and just knitting and talking.
I went out to lunch with Sarah McMahon yesterday.
Yeah.
So, full name, I'm sorry.
And it doesn't even have to be in real life, right? I mean, it obviously in real life, but it doesn't have, it could be virtual, right? Like you could sit down and do a virtual knit night on the computer, which is still sort of in real life. I mean, I can't get up and give you a high, but it is live, right? Yep, it's not only...
and it's not one directional live, because like Instagram, I mean, you have to type and...
Yep.
Or invite them to be part of the live stream or something to get it to be fully interactive. But on those virtual midnights, just everybody shows up, like, go to a meeting or whatever. Zoom.
Yeah, so I just think I am becoming more aware of what makes me happy and what makes me feel engaged and what makes me, because of this happiness lab a little bit, but also just because I'm becoming the person that I'm becoming, right? And I think that is definitely something that would bring me more joy in a more regular fashion, I guess, rather than you just have to make time for it. And that was another point in this happiness lab. Sorry guys, I'm really sorry. Was like scheduling it, right? At the time it seems like it's too much and your plate's too filled, and our minds tell us that we're overwhelming ourselves, and so that isn't going to make us happy. But it's just like exercise. You have to make time for it. You have to schedule it. It's just like eating a more healthy diet, right? You know that you're going to be happier in the long run, but you just have to burden yourself mentally with, yes, that will make me happy, even though my brain is telling me right now that it won't, right? So putting more on my schedule in an already crazy bonkers schedule feels like it will make me less happy, but in the long run, I will be far happier.
Yeah, if you don't block that time out, the rest of your life will just run right over it.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I would say like last weekend, was it last week? Whenever you were at January thaw, and I saw a handful of pictures come across, and I'm like, what? Why didn't I go? Why didn't I pick up and go? Why didn't I make time for this? And and it was work and family related, right? I felt like I needed to be there, but when you're sitting on your couch at 2 p.m. going, why am I not there right now? It's because I didn't schedule it. I didn't schedule it, put it on the schedule, let everybody know this is happening and you all need to get on board with it, kind of thing. Work included, right? Because I scheduled my trip to, Florida for my family, right? And that's been marked a priority, and work is going to have to deal with me leaving, et cetera, right? And it does get hard to make those priorities for just yourself.
Yep, but you're worth it. Self-care is super important, and I came back from the January thaw a much happier person and a more engaged person with the rest of my life because I took that time, right? So I don't know. I know it feels very, very cliche and platitudes and whatever, but it's the truth. So, or at least it is for me. I can't say that that's the truth for everyone, but anyway, diverged yet again.
I had signed up to do something in Florida that wasn't with my family, and work was not so bonkers before the new year. And so I ended up writing them to say I can't do it, right? It's just too much. But now it's the month that it would have happened, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I have this future angst that, it's too much. I gotta take a thing off my plate. And sure enough, I take the thing that's for me off my plate, right? And can't do that. You gotta, I've been carving little time. I've had a couple of weekend lunches with my girlfriends and things like that, but
yeah, well,
those
that's
bigger chunks are kind of key too.
That said, I mean, family is very important, obviously. I think, we had the conversation at the coffee shop that, after this spring break, we've got 4 more spring breaks with our kids, our oldest being in high school, right? Not coming home for college spring break or deciding to spend time with us. And so that time goes really fast too. So it's balancing the priorities for sure, but sometimes it feels like it swings, like you were saying, too far in the other
when I'm
direction.
an empty nester, you better believe.
Yep.
Or I like to think that, but then I'll be like, no, I gotta go visit Lucy at college, or,
Yeah, heaven forbid one of them have a child, right?
Grandma! Woo! I'm grandma now!
But yeah,
That's
think it
way
too
far.
far. No. At the pace that everything's going, I don't know.
Blink of an eye.
Yep. And then we'll be grandmas. But anyway.
That's okay, lots of baby
Trip
notes.
down.
Baby notes.
Yeah, trip down Megan and Amy's mental pathways.
Yeah, 4 years, yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
It feels, they registered for high school now,
Yep,
right?
yep.
It's already a done deal, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna happen this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. This was a bit of a slog, maybe. I interjected some really good things from that other podcast. But yeah, that was January.
How about if you hung in this long, go out to the threads and comment.
Yeah.
Because we'll post it on the threads and Ravelry, or maybe out on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Just give us a shout out if you made it this long,
and we'll give you a gold star.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll give you a
what
gold
that's
star
worth.
for what that's worth.
Bye.
Bye, Uvta.